Hi, it's David Nelson with some thoughts about designing effective discussion boards. Discussion boards can be a valuable communication tool in distance learning. They can enable the interaction between student and instructor, student, and student with the learning materials. Some distance learners feel a sense of alienation, and discussion boards can alleviate that feeling of alienation by engaging students in collaboration and co-construction of knowledge with their peers. There are a few things that are important, I think, to deal with before getting into design issues, and those are that communication has to be extremely clear, of course, about the expectations that students for participation in the discussion board, and the instructions have to be made very clear. And I think it's worthwhile to consider posting those instructions and the expectations and the requirements and timing issues and all of that in multiple places. One place, of course, that's important is the syllabus. The syllabus should state, I think the syllabus should state the overall purpose of discussion boards for the course, the requirements and the expectations and grading issues, and I think it's probably a good idea to include, maybe not in the syllabus, but somewhere in a prominent announcement at the beginning of the course, what the instructor's timing is going to be for going to the discussion board, if there's a regular schedule, because that information can be very valuable to the student. A student who might otherwise sit waiting for an answer to a question for hours and hours, expecting it to come any time, but they might have just known that the instructor's not going to get back to them until the next day, for example. So those are some small issues there. Now, in terms of design, I think the first thing to start with is to take your list of objectives and examine them for their potential for discussion board use. And there's an infinite number of ways that discussion boards can be used, but most typically they're used for the higher level learning skills. They're used to apply what students have learned in from their readings and other sources. They're used to synthesize and evaluate and to integrate all of that knowledge, and then, as I said earlier, to co-construct knowledge with their peers. So those are the kinds of objectives that you probably want to focus on for designing your activities, your discussion board activities. Now, I have a few strategies to suggest in terms of designing activities for the discussion board. One is the debate, where you pair students off and they debate each other on a controversial topic. Some faculty have learned that it's worthwhile to assign students to a particular side of an issue rather than let them choose their own, because when they debate the other side from which they actually stand, sometimes the learning can be quite significant. And then some faculty will, at the end of the debate period, have them switch places and debate the other side of the issue. That gives everybody a chance to see the other side from a kind of first-person perspective. Another strategy is the problem-based activity, where you give students a complex, ill-structured problem to sort out, to solve, and sometimes faculty assign roles to some of the students, such as leader, facilitator, recorder, and or just a team member, and everybody's expected to participate equally. But giving it that structure can work for some courses. Depends on the learners, whether that's necessary or not. Another strategy is role plays, and I've seen this work well in situation. The way it's set up is you also give them an ill-structured problem or an opportunity to solve. But what you do is you assign people roles that pertain to the stakeholder positions in the problem or opportunity to be addressed. So, for example, in a situation where there's chronic violence in a public school, there might be the role of teacher, principal, guidance counselor, and law enforcement officer. So these people take on those roles and work through the problem. It gives an interesting perspective to the whole thing. So those are some strategies. Now with regard to grading, some people will use frequency of posts, time spent on the discussion board, or number of posts, but those are really not very good measures of student performance. I think the best way to work with grading discussions is to use rubrics. And there are lots of rubrics on the web for discussion boards. It's a quick and easy search, and you can bring in quite a few. I went looking to see what kinds of categories might be useful, and some of the categories that I found that I thought were useful are content of contribution. Are the postings factually correct? Are they reflective? Are they substantive? And do they advance the discussion? Supportive evidence. And students can find supportive evidence from the assigned readings or other sources from the course, or they can bring in material from outside the course to provide evidence for their argument. Clarity. Are they clear, concise? Are their postings easy to read? And is their grammar and spelling good enough to be understood? Higher level thinking. You want them to be doing analysis, synthesis, and evaluation, and you want them to use critical thinking. You also want to see them stimulate critical thinking in others. Are their ideas original? This is another category, original ideas. Are they bringing in new ideas and concepts that relate to the discussion? And then responses. Are the questions and comments that they've received, are they adequately responded to? And then quantity of the students' participation, the number of posts and things. Again, that's not a very good measure, but it is some measure. And the key thing is, did they post and respond frequently enough to be a valuable contributing member to the discussion? And then finally, timeliness. Timeliness of posts and timeliness of responses. Well, one last thing, that some students may be reluctant and they may just need a little bit of encouragement to get going, and I think it's important to let them know that their contributions are valuable. And I hope that if you design discussion boards, that you will have a good time doing it, and I hope you'll make it fun for the students. Thanks for your time.